ESPN and ABC tonight. And doing the play-by-play is the legend Joe Buck, and he joins us now on the show. Joe, it's Michael, Don, and Peter. How are you today?
God, I love you guys, and I love you more when you said legend, but I'm wondering if I wasn't your guest, if you would have said that word.
Yeah, I talk about you privately.
Be honest,
like
Michael.
Well,
do.
I was going to say, Joe, Super Bowls, World Series, that's great. Anybody can do that. But you were on Sports Reporters. That's when I became impressed.
Just this week.
Yeah.
I mean, I did do Sports Reporters, had a great time. It was a blast. And to be on with Mike and Kevin and Ian, three guys that are really, all those guys. They're just good people, and they've been good friends. And so it was good. It's good to get together and just kind of compare notes. And I wanted to have a moment to congratulate Mike on the great job he did with the Olympics. So I'm glad I did it, and Jeremy did a great job hosting it.
So of all of those guys, Joe, who's the best play-by-play guy, you think?
Oh, that's a good point.
Wow.
And you can include yourself.
Tony LaRussa. No, I'm going to go the Tony LaRussa. I'm last, and the other three are tied for first.
Oh,
very
nice.
That's what LaRussa would say.
Did you?
Come on. I'm not going to grade their performances.
Oh, well, does that mean you also won't grade Tom Brady's? 'Cause I'm curious if you got ears on him yesterday.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't think it's fair. Like I said, I did a million interviews before he went on, and if you can tab this part, this will be the part that Awful Announcing pulls off. And
we love these parts. Go ahead.
So hello to all my friends at Awful Announcing. I think it's absolutely impossible to grade anybody and say somebody's going to be good, not good after one game. I mean, this is a hard job, and I'm not, and we all do our piece of it. You have to be able to settle in, know what you need to know. I talked to him on Friday, and I don't think anybody's put more work into being prepared for his first broadcast than Tom did. And now you have to go forward and settle in. And it's grossly unfair that everybody wants to weigh in after 5 seconds. It's just, that's not the way it works. It's not the way it worked for Jimmy Fallon doing the Tonight Show, Conan O'Brien taking over for Letterman. I mean, he was on a day-by-day or week-by-week contract, and it's hard to work that way. So I think he'll be great. I stand by that, and we all watched and enjoyed it, and I'll be doing it again next week.
You're also doing the 49ers and the Jets, and here in New York, Joe, people are incredibly excited, waiting for the year that never was last year. I know you've done massive events in your career. Are you excited about tonight's game?
Very much so. I mean, I think the Jets are in a better position than they were last year at this time. There was so much hype. Hard Knocks, Aaron Rodgers trade. Here he is wearing number 8. He's in a different shade of green. And, he had all the buildup, and then we all know what happened. 4 plays in, and that's the end of that. But I think, talking to him yesterday, he feels great. He's excited about the offensive line, which is way better. He's excited about Alan Lazard, believe it or not, coming back. Doing more things that got him the money, blocking, being a reliable receiver. It's hard to gain Aaron Rodgers' trust. Garrett Wilson definitely has it. Mike Williams, I think, by the way, will be used sparingly tonight. But once you have that trust, it's also hard to lose it. So I think he's legitimately excited about what he has around him. The defense is really good. The special teams are really good. So they'll have their hands full tonight because I still think the 49ers are the team to beat in the NFC. But they're just getting their group back together after the holdouts and everything else that's happened, and McCaffrey's barely practiced. So maybe you're catching them at the right time, and I fully expect the Jets to play well tonight.
And that said, considering it's week 1, and I know every game is important, Joe, but is Aaron Rodgers' performance tonight even more important than the result in the game?
Maybe so. I mean, I think when you look at the numbers with Kirk Cousins yesterday coming off the torn Achilles, everything was either pistol or in shotgun. And it was almost like their offensive play calling was hamstrung because you kind of knew what was coming. Every time he was back there, basically they were throwing, and they're trying to take a load off of his Achilles. And I'm anxious to see. I'm going to talk to Aaron, Teroy, and I are on the field here in just a little bit, try to get a little bit better feel for some of that after watching yesterday's games. But and watching that Atlanta game. But I think, get through the game healthy, build as the season goes forward. It's a long year, 16 more games. So, like he said, everybody's going to overreact to week one. And I think the long game, I understand why they're the betting favorite to win the AFC East. They would be my pick to win the division, too.
Now, in talking to him, Joe, does he have total confidence that the Achilles is 100%?
Yeah, he does. And I think, I said, are you past the point of even thinking about it? And he said, well, OTAs was different. But by the time training camp rolled in and after, the first week of practices, he felt normal. So I can only go by that. He's always really honest with Troy and me. So I do believe that's kind of a thing of the past. And, he's had more time than Kirk. I mean, Kirk's injury happened in the back half of the year last year. And, Aaron was practicing at the end of November. So I think he fully believes he's fine with that.
Now, this defense is terrific, Joe, but have you been able to wrap your mind around the Reddick situation? We still can't figure out what his end game is. He's going to miss a game check, which is like $800,000. How much does it affect their defense, and can you figure what he's trying to do there?
Yeah, they'd be obviously way better with him. I'm with you. The end game is in this game of chicken and stare down. I think the Jets are going to get their player, and they're going to come to something that leans more favorably toward the team. I don't see how, he's got to play. And if he doesn't play, then he's a year older, and it just rolls forward. So at some point, he's got to get in here and play. He's accruing all these fines and missing game checks. I don't know. I think it's a bad look on both sides. And, assuming they'd get something done when that deal was made, not getting it done, and then the holdout, and just kind of, the trade request, which was denied. It's just a mess. And I would imagine after tonight, no matter what, there's going to be more drive even to get this thing done. But they've had no. We talked to Robert Saleh, said, have you talked to him? The answer was no. And he's like, I don't have any more on it than that. And I think that's where they are, which is too bad because he's obviously a really good player.
Talking with Joe Buck, Monday Night Football tonight with Troy Aikman on ABC and ESPN. You talked about Saleh, and this is a question that we've posed, Joe. I don't know if he's a good or a bad coach. He's been dealt kind of a bad hand when it comes to quarterback. Do you and Troy have a feel on whether or not he can be a good head coach? We know he's a good defensive coordinator, but how about a head coach? Is he a coach that's set to lead a team to the playoffs?
Yeah, I do. I think he will. You're at the mercy of quarterback play in this league, and I'm with you. I don't know for a fact, but I sure as heck get the sense that he's got a really good method to how he coaches. I think he's a smart man. If you can coach the defense, it's not like we're talking about in-game decisions, really. We're just talking about an offense that once Aaron went down and prior to Aaron, they just didn't have any answers at quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback in this league, I don't care who you are. Kyle Shanahan, doesn't matter. You're probably not going to look that great. And if Aaron plays like we've seen Aaron play, or at least a reasonable facsimile of it, then I think he and all of it will look a lot better. So yeah, we don't know. Jury's out, but my answer is yes. I think he is and will be shown to be a good head coach if the quarterback's good.
Do you have any other moments in your career that you remember feeling as sort of deflating and disappointing as a broadcaster as that game last year?
No, you compare it kind of. Because it was a long-term thing too. Because it was, it was sad that there was that much buildup, and then, for fans that are dying to have things turn around and no playoffs since 2010, and then it's over like that. The only thing that's close to it for Troy and me is doing a blowout in a Super Bowl, which we did Denver, Seattle. And it's like, man, there's so much hype. There's so much build-up. You got 100 million people watching, and, you're spinning plates and singing show tunes to try to keep people interested for any part of the game, and it just kept getting worse. That is kind of close, but it just was sad. And, And so to be here again a year later and seeing him week one and again, all the build-up and the hope, I'm glad we got this game, and I'm glad we get to see it through and, see how he plays now. And then we've got them against the Bills in a handful of weeks, and we'll do it again.
What do you think of the 49ers? Obviously, the holdouts and everything with Ayuk and the injury to McCaffrey. They've got unfinished business, Joe. They get to the Super Bowl. They haven't been able to close it out. What are their thoughts?
I don't know. It's funny. Everybody's like, there's pressure on Kyle Shanahan to get over the hump. I mean, the hump is like, in this case, like one play.
Right.
It's happened to him as an offensive coordinator. You can quarrel with that one, I think, a little more than what's happened in the Super Bowls that he's been to and lost. I mean, my gosh, it's ridiculous to go, well, what's wrong? Well, what's wrong is not much. They've been to 4 NFC championship games in the last 5 years. They've won 2 of them. They've been one play away from winning a Super Bowl. I mean, they're right there. Troy thinks he's the best coach in the NFL, for what it's worth. I agree. And they're loaded with talent. So if they stay healthy and Purdy stays healthy, they should be left standing at the end of the season as the team representing the NFC, as far as I see it.
The other big story yesterday before the game, Dak Prescott gets the huge contract from the Cowboys, and I see a lot of similarities between him and Tony Romo. Great regular season numbers, just not being able to get over the hump in the postseason. He's only 30, Joe. So do you think, as big as that contract is, will it end up being worth it for the Cowboys? Do you think getting a few more kicks at the can, he might be able to figure it out and get them to the promised land? Yeah,
I think they had to do it. I mean, it's too hard to find these guys. Ask the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
It's too hard to come up with some. He was second in MVP voting last year. He had his best year statistically, and I know that's not what it's about. They got to the postseason. They laid an egg against the Green Bay Packers, and everybody fell in love, and rightly so, with Jordan Love. But they've been too close too. That's a little different than the what's wrong with the 49ers question to me. I mean, they do have to play better in the postseason. He has to play better in the postseason. That defense has to play better in the postseason. So it's more than just Dak. But I think the pressure's on him. Forget the regular season, is to play well in January and get them to an NFC champ game at least, or the Super Bowl in New Orleans. But I mean, that's where the quarterback market is headed. He gets to be the highest paid guy for a short amount of time, and somebody will pass him, I'm sure. And, once you have one, it's a pretty big deal to give it up.
Now, I know you have to get down on the field. We're going to let you do your work. I just wanted to tell you one quick thing. I was on a podcast with A-Rod, his Bloomberg podcast, and he asked me, present announcers, is there anybody that you would love to work a game with? And I immediately said Joe Buck. So can we make it happen on a Yankee game one day?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I did it for the Cardinals.
I know.
With Chip Carey. I'll do it for you. I'll just be like the annoying guy that hangs outside of every big league booth and going, hey, I did the World Series. Can't I come on your air? I mean, it'll be awesome. The fans will love it.
Yankee fans would love having you on.
I'll do it, and I'll just keep saying we. I'll just say, we need a guy to play here. We need a home run.
Finally, they'll accept you, Joe, if you do that.
Very smart thinking. Let's get it done next year.
Finally, yes. Okay.
Have a great season,
All
you
right,
and Troy.
Have your people call my people.
There you go.
All right,
Flip
cool.
text me.
You got it. Bye, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
All right.
That's Monday Night Football tonight.
Oh.
Monday Night Football preview brought to you by Bigelow Tea, who encourages you to grab a mug and tea proudly. I thought about all the announcers, and I said I think I would love to do a game with Joe Buck.
But what is that? But
well, I would want him to we both do play-by-play, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes it kind of weird, right? You gotta split the play-by-play, and
well, that's what John and I did for 10 years.
Sure. What about an analyst? Is there an analyst out there in sports?
Analyst.
Because that makes more sense. Let's be honest.
President Booth excluded, Michael.
Of
Yeah,
course.
of course.
No one better.
It'd have to be a baseball one, right?
Presumably, unless you think someone from another sport would be so good
Yeah,
that they could roll right in.
Yeah, like Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but Jeff Van Gundy was always a big baseball fan, right?
That would be fun. Mark Jackson would be fun. He's a huge baseball fan, big Yankee fan.
That's right.
I don't know. I haven't given it much thought.
I'd like for you to think about it.